what's up, suckers? It's me. I'm back, and this is going to be a pretty quick one for you today. I just wanted to lend out an apology. So, to back up a bit, I have noticed in my time working with ADHDers and in having my own ADHD that a lot of us tend to go through kind of the same steps, right? First, we think that we might have ADHD, but we're not sure. Then we're pretty sure we have it, but we figure there's no point in getting a diagnosis because what's it going to change, right? Like, life is life. I've been doing fine. I don't really need a diagnosis. I'm handling life just fine. I don't need a diagnosis, right? Then, and some of us never move past that second stage. We're fine. We're not having enough of a problem in our lives that we feel like we need to put a label on it. But a lot of us, and if you're watching this channel, then you probably already have, moved forward to the third phase, which is basically where you say, okay, I'm going to get the diagnosis. I'm going to do it. And you get it, you find out you have ADHD, and your life is forever changed. And then we get to the next phase, and that phase is where we say to ourselves, I have ADHD, and I know I have ADHD, but knowledge is power, and now I can use this power to become more like everyone else. And here is where I started my channel during that fourth phase. And a lot of the stuff that I came up with, I am not in any way going to apologize for because I think that it was helpful, but I am going to apologize for really trying to erase certain parts of the ADHD brain with these methods that I put out there. And what I mean by that is, for example, one of my most popular articles on my website and also a fairly popular video is one entitled How to Stop Starting Everything. And in it, I talk a lot about avoiding starting multiple projects and that you should be focused on one project at a time. And I think I even mentioned shiny object syndrome and avoiding shiny object syndrome. And I turn it into this whole thing that really is a lot more about erasing the concept of being neurodivergent and trying to be more neurotypical. And, while that can have a place and while that can be helpful in some ways, we move on to that fifth phase, which is where I am and where a lot of my friends are now, where we're realizing that the point of understanding that you have ADHD is not to figure out how to hack that ADHD so that you are more neurotypical, so that you are more, I hate using this word, but quote unquote normal. The point of knowing that you have ADHD is to understand why your brain does the things that it does to move forward into a place of acceptance of the things that your brain does, and then learning how to make those things work for you. Not necessarily to work for a system that you have learned is the right way to do things, but how to find the correct system for you. So maybe that does mean that you stop starting everything, right? Maybe that does mean that you are just not a multiple project person, but that could also mean that you thrive on having multiple projects, on having lots of things to do at once. I'm one of those people, the people in the video that I just did last week about the Chase the Chaos digital summit. Those people are like that. We enjoy having multiple things to focus on at once. That's where our happy spot is. That's where we excel. And that could even look like just having a job that wears many different hats, right? The point being, you are not supposed to be using your ADHD to figure out how to work that out of yourself. to figure out how to change that about yourself. And when I first started my channel, I absolutely was at least giving off vibes like that was the goal. And so there is where my apology comes in. I wholeheartedly apologize for coming into this game making any of you ever think that there is something wrong with you if you can't just focus on one thing, if you need the TV on in the background while you work, if if you have to have a weird, quote unquote, weird organizational pattern that doesn't quite fit what other organization gurus would say you need. Those are not things that you should be changing, and you shouldn't be feeling ashamed for those things. You shouldn't be feeling like you need to change those things about yourself. And you really shouldn't be aiming to be that normal, whatever the hell that means. What we should be doing is learning how to understand our ADHD and then use that understanding to form productive processes and productive days that satisfy us. Okay? Not others, not a system that may not necessarily be calling for what we actually need. And so from here on in, I promise you that I am not going to be trying to push the usual idea of productivity. I really never said that productivity was about getting everything done, but I definitely did list more towards the idea of keeping things in this streamlined linear way that may not necessarily be ADHD friendly. And from here on in, I want to focus on the things that make ADHD productivity different. How do we make this method of productivity that is different from what we grew up learning something that serves us in a way that isn't pushing us to mask or to pretend that we aren't something that we are? Because there's absolutely no reason to feel bad or ashamed of the fact that you don't necessarily work the way that we were taught, because that's only one way. So, all of that to say, if you have ever felt, because of me, that there is just something wrong with the way that you look at your productive processes, or if you've ever felt because of me that you're a hot mess or that you're too scattered, please know that I give you my absolute heartfelt apology, and that I would rather that you figure out how to use that so-called scatteredness or that so-called hot messishness. I don't know what I would use in that term, how I would turn that into a noun, but I would rather that you figure out how to use that to give you a productivity level that makes you happy. And maybe that means using it a different way. Maybe that means spreading it out a different way. But it absolutely does not have to mean changing who you are. Okay, so that's basically all I wanted to say today. I am going to try to go back to doing videos every week. And hopefully we will be able to really, keep up with that this time. I feel like every time I've said that, I have wound up in this horrible Bermuda Triangle of constant sickness in my house. But other than that, thanks very much for watching. Drink lots of water, take good care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video, or you'll hear from me in the next podcast episode.